This is the city of Absalom, the city at the center of the world. Absalom is celebrating the Radiant Festival, a 3-month festival of epic proportions held once every 100 years. The celebration attracts all types: tourists, performers, merchants, inventors, as well as unsavory types, petty thieves, gangs, cults, and criminal enterprises. That's where we come in. We protect and serve. We are the Agents of Edgewatch.
Hey everyone, welcome to Roll for Combat, Agents of Edgewatch. I'm your GM and host, Stephen Glicker, and in this week's episode, we begin Book 2 of the Agents of Edgewatch Adventure Path for Pathfinder, 60 Feet Under. So, big welcome to everyone, longtime listeners, welcome back. We're starting Book 2, and people who are brand new to Roll for Combat, welcome. I just want to give you a little overview of how we do it over here at Roll for Combat. We set up each book of each adventure path, whether it's Pathfinder or Starfinder, as its own season, much like a television show, and then we do a big recap at the beginning of, each season so that you could just jump right in. So if, you don't want to listen to Season 1 of Edgewatch, you just want to jump right into Season 2, you can. We're going to give you a recap, you can jump right in, and you'll be fine. You really will. You can just start with this episode. Obviously, if you want to go back and, listen to the first season, it's always there for you. But we make it so that you can jump into Season 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6, whatever you want. Any season you want. So we're only up to Book 2, so this is the beginning of, obviously, Season 2. And if you're going to miss any season, I would say, probably the first season is the one that you could miss. Not that I want you to miss any, but Season 2 is where things start to pick up a bit. Season 1 is the first book of an adventure path, and that is always the grounding book, where they sort of give you a background of what you're doing, of where you are. And to be honest, since your characters are usually level 1 to 4 or level 1 to 5, they're not going to be throwing a lot of heavy-hitting things at you because they don't want to kill off your characters. So just a real quick recap of how this is kind of set up. This entire adventure path takes place in the city of Absalom, which is the largest city in the world of Galarian. And right now, we are members of the Watch. Well, not we are, but the PCs are members of the Watch. They're a brand new division of the Watch called the Edgewatch. They are in what's called the Precipice Quarter. The Precipice Quarter is sort of brand new. It was destroyed 20 years ago in an earthquake. They've rebuilt it, and they're having a once-in-a-century festival called the Radiant Festival that is once every 100 years, or in this case, once every 201 years, because the last time they were going to do it, the god of humanity died, and no one felt like, having a big celebration. So, Book 1, the entire book took place within the Precipice Quarter and in Edgewatch Central. Book 2, you're going to see them go all over the city of Absalom, and you're going to see them talk and deal with the different guards of Absalom. So each district within Absalom has their own guards, and they're all very, very different. Each district is handled completely differently. They have their own names, they have their own headquarters, their own captain, and they have their own culture. And, you're going to find out what it's like for our guys who are very straight-laced and pretty much goody two-shoes from the Precipice Quarter, go to these other districts, and, it's going to be interesting. I'll leave it at that. It's because some of these districts some are corrupt, some are a little bit more loosey-goosey with the rules, some are sort of kick back and relax. None of them are as tight-wound, shall we say, as the Precipice Quarter and the Edgewatch. So you're going to see them intermixed with lots of different guards of Absalom and lots of different styles. So that is what you're going to see a lot of in Book 2. And you're going to start seeing the beginnings of a larger story start to take place. And usually the way they set these up, they being Paizo, is that the main story starts to sort of peek its head around Book 2, and then Book 3 is where it really starts in earnest. But you're going to find out at least about what is sort of going on and what the overarching megaplot is for this entire series in Book 2. So be on the lookout for that. Anyhow, the recap is right after my little intro. It's not very long. I think we do the full recap in about 10-15 minutes. You're going to get to meet all the main PCs, and then we jump right into it and we play. And for those of you who want to get a better understanding of what Absalom looks like, just look for it, go to Google, type in Absalom, it'll come up. The map gives you a very good idea of what this looks like and where they are within the map. You can also just go to the Roll for Combat Discord channel, and I have a ton of pictures and maps in there so you can see where they are. It kind of helps you visualize where they're going whenever they're walking around the city. Because they go to places pretty quick. It's a big city, but if they want to go across the city, it might take them an hour. They can pretty much get around pretty easily. So it's just a city. So once again, those of you brand new to Roll for Combat, welcome. I always have a little intro before each show, which you can listen to or skip through, and I often will give like GM advice and PC advice and, just gaming advice in general, and then sometimes we have contests, and I talk about the various projects that are going on over here at Roll for Combat, and then we start the episodes, and they come out every single week. Agents of Edgewatch comes out every single Friday. The episode actually goes live, for those of you who want to know, at 1 a.m. Eastern Time. So those of you on the West Coast or not in New York, you actually get it a day early. It actually goes live for you just late Thursday night. So you can pick up the episode Friday at 1 a.m. And we also have Three Ring Adventure, which is another adventure path where they are playing Circus Folk, and that is also crazy. That is a lot of fun. Different PCs. That goes live every Tuesday at 1 a.m. And once again, if you're on the West Coast, you can get it at Monday. Dun, dun, dun. And of course, we have lots of other items. There's an article that Jason McDonald, who's one of the PCs in this adventure path, he writes a recap of every single episode ever. And you can find that at rollforcombat.com. If you want to catch up on the first season, you can either listen to it, but if you're like, you know what, I don't have time to listen to it, then just go to rollforcombat.com, go to Talking Combat, and check out Jason's columns where he completely does a recap of each episode. You can just crank through those, spend an hour reading through each episode, and then you'll be all caught up because he does a really great recap. I actually like to do it myself just because sometimes it's a year or two since these episodes aired, and even I kind of forget what's going on. So I got to read Jason's recap just so I remember, because there's a lot of things that I have to record and edit. So it all gets jumbled up inside my brain. Anyhow, with that, let's get to this week's show notes. So show notes this week, very quick, not a ton going on. We're continuing to work on the RPG Superstar book. As I said, we have the layouts done. I actually see the light at the end of the tunnel. We are almost done editing all the monsters. We have about 75% of the artwork done, maybe even 80%. We have a lot of the artwork done. I actually was looking at the last assignments, and I'm like, oh my god, this is all that's left. It's not a lot, so I'm trying to make sure I give everything out to the best artists that I have, make sure that everything gets done quickly. I don't want to have any hiccups. And then we are actually doing the layout. I have the layout being worked on for the book itself, and it is looking really, really sweet. I hope to share that with you in the very near future, and you can see what the book looks like. However, if you want, every single Wednesday on the Patreon, I post one of the monsters with the final artwork, so you can just go to patreon.rollforcombat.com and check that out. That's free. Everyone can see that. You don't need to be a member of Patreon to check that out. However, if you do want to join us on Patreon, for as little as $5, you get the episodes early. You get the episodes a couple days early for Edgewatch and a week early for Three Ring Adventure. So if you really want to know what's going on before everyone else, you can listen to them there. Plus, you can listen to us live whenever we're recording episodes, and we record episodes usually on Sundays and Mondays. Although with quarantine ending and everyone going out and being free, I can tell you right now that the schedule might be getting changed a lot. Who knows? But we record at night, usually from 8 o'clock to 11 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. That's usually our recording session time. So usually at night, Eastern Time from 8 to 11. But again, $5 and you can come join us. You can listen to the show. You can chat with us. You can hang with us. It's a lot of fun. Also on the Patreon, we give out a lot of cool stuff. There's mugs, there's t-shirts, there's stickers, there's bags. You can check it out. You can get all that cool stuff. Also, do make sure you check out the Discord channel if you want to play games. We have over 400 plus games of Pathfinder and Starfinder on the Discord. Just go to discord.ruleforcombat.com. You can check that out. And then, of course, check out the website. We are going to be having the review of Bestiary 3, which comes out next week, so be on the lookout for that. And you can see Jason's review of Bestiary 3. Bestiary 3 is great, by the way. I really love this book. This is where you start getting all the weird stuff. You know, Bestiary 1 is kind of cut and dry. Bestiary 2 was starting to get a little weird. Bestiary 3 is where they put all like the misfit toys and all the weird, wacky stuff they really shouldn't put in the Bestiary 1 or 2, but all the crazy things. Like Krampus. I love Krampus. One of my favorite monsters ever. And Krampus is in this book. So silly. So make sure you check that up at rollforcombat.com. Anyhow, with that, let's get to this week's episode. Hey everyone, welcome to Roll for Combat Agents of Edgewatch. I'm Steven Glicker, and I'm your GM for Season 2 of Agents of Edgewatch. For those of you brand new to the show, we're going to have a little intro explaining to you exactly what you missed in Season 1. So if you feel like, hey, you know what, I just want to jump into this and start now in Season 2, you can do it. But for those of you from Season 1, well, don't worry. We're going to do a recap for you too. So everyone's going to win. Everyone's going to find out something special this episode. But for now, let me just give you a little bit of a recap of what you have missed if you're coming into the show brand new. First of all, this adventure takes place in the city of Absalom. And our players are playing fresh recruits in the Edgewatch, which is a newly formed faction of the Absalom Guard created to police the now restored Precipice Quarter on the onset of Absalom's Radiant Festival. The Radiant Festival is a festival that only takes place once every 100 years. But, in fact, it didn't take place last 100 years because that's when Erodin died. And, you know, when a god dies, people are not in the mood to have a once-in-a-100-year festival. So this is the first time the festival has occurred in 200 years. So it is doubly big. And this quarter, the Precipice Quarter, has sort of been abandoned for like the last 20 years. So it was an excellent opportunity to bring this quarter back to life. They decided, you know what, let's make the festival in this quarter. It'll bring in new hotels, new people, new businesses, and you kill a lot of birds with one stone. One new aspect is they had to create a city guard, which they did. And they call that the Edgewatch. And they are specifically formed to police this Radiant Festival. Now, the Radiant Festival will take place over 3 months. And we started the beginning of Season 1 with all of our players as brand new recruits. In fact, they were on the first day of the job. And just to give you an idea of how much action they saw in Season 1, that they are currently on day 4 of the job, and they're level 4. So, at this rate, they're going to be level 20 before the end of the month. I have a feeling it's going to slow down just a little bit, because even for me, this was a bit of a breakneck pace. But before I get into exactly what happened, why don't I give you a little break from myself and we will introduce the player characters and the players themselves. John Stats, do you want to go first?
Sure. Thank you, Steve. My name is John Stats, and I'll be playing Cadet Dougie McDougal. Dougie is he's a corpulent mama's boy. Very sheltered child. Comes from Taldor. Is looking for an honest way to make a living, and he is a very lawful person. He is a thief, and he is working for Edgewatch. Dougie is going to apply everything that he learned in school. He's very naive, although he's so bookish and well-read that he thinks he knows the world, and he's going to learn during his the course of events that he might not know everything. That the world is maybe different than his reading list. So that's Dougie.
And Dougie is human. That's something else we should mention.
Yes, he's a human.
human, and he's about 5 feet tall and carries a big stick. Literally, literally a big stick. A
Yes.
maul, a really big maul.
Yeah, he's a brawler thief. He's full strength, low charisma, no, not much intelligence or anything, but
that's for sure.
he doesn't do a lot. You don't want him to do. He'll do the talking. Oh, he'll do the talking, but it's if you need tact, that's not where you go to.
Next up, we have Jason McDonald.
Hi, my name is Jason McDonald. I am playing Basil Blackfeather. He is a Tengu investigator who also dabbles in the art of wizardry on the side. He's the son of a fairly well-known tobacconist turned politician here in Absalom, who had been studying in law school, but decided that he wanted to kind of make more of a direct difference getting out into the world. Conceptually, the investigators kind of draws on strings of like Sherlock Holmes and the whole gentleman detective thing. So Basil's out to untangle mysteries.
And let me understand this. He was in law school, and then he dropped out to join the force. And no one in his family knows he did that, correct?
Not yet, though. Of course, if his name keeps appearing in the newspaper, it may not remain a secret too much longer. Or if he keeps giving away his name at parties.
Yeah, that too. If you go to private parties with nothing but criminals and everyone uses an alias except you, maybe, just maybe, you're going to get in trouble. We'll find out.
I believe Dougie used his real name as well.
Well, Dougie has nothing to hide. You have everything to hide.
Well, that's true.
Next we have Chris, who's playing a rather interesting character.
Yes, Lo Mang was not born Lo Mang. Lo Mang was born Logren Fire-Touched. Some of you may have already heard this story, but he was born into the family of orc chieftains in the hold of Belzen. He was considered blessed by the diabolical in that he had devil-like characteristics that made him faster and stronger than most. And he came of fighting age during unpleasantness going on with the giants. There was a giants' war with the little folk in Galarian, and he was nearly wounded, mortally wounded, by a dwarven champion who was a Pathfinder in the Pathfinder Society. And instead of finishing him off, the dwarf chose to redeem him, and so if he would repent his evil ways and worship Iomade. This is too much for him, though. That god is way too goody-goody for him. So he made a blood oath promise to walk the path of justice and good, and with that, he was sent to the Mang Temple, which is outside of Absalom City, which is a monk's temple, and with the usual monk-type stuff: prayer, meditation, physical fitness, and martial arts. And he was taught in unarmed combat and defense and non-lethal combat. They also schooled him the ways of Kaden Kaleen, which he worships now, that god, to show respect for the good side of him now. And for respect for the temple, he changed his name to Lo Mang, taking the name of his temple as his last name. He vows to serve the community for the betterment of good causes. And seeing that Absalom was recruiting officers for the Edgewatch to help with the Radiant Festival, he thought it'd be a perfect opportunity to fulfill his destiny. So he is a towering hulk of an orc, around 6'6", greenish skin. He is tattooed. He loves tattoos. He's got a prominent tattoo of a crane with red eyes and a bloody beak on his chest to represent the style of martial arts that he uses. But another strange feature is he does have cloven hooves below the knee, which is shows of his tiefling characteristics. And he has what looks like vestigial wings on his back. And basically, he's got strong ties to the temple, and he's looking to rise through the ranks so he can serve the community better. And he does have issues. He did have issues, I should say, with Dougie early on, because he goes on tilt when others perform better in combat than him, especially if they're unarmed. And when Dougie first started out, he was unarmed, and it really bothered me.
So does he have a tail, or is that hidden, or does no one know?
He does not have a tail. that people know of.
That people know of. That's right. It's like
As far as anyone knows.
As far as I
But
know,
he does look very out of place in a way, because he is a mixture of an orc and a devil. So there's like little horn, like there's vestigial things like wings and tails.
Maybe one day he can turn into a full devil.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I like it.
And then finally, we have the resident goblin.
Hi, I'm Seth Lipton. I'm Professor Feli on social media, and I play Gomez, the goblin from the mean streets, who was a street thug, as he was a classic stereotypical goblin ruffian thief, who then saw the light and got recruited. It's like switch sides and became a officer of the law. If you take like an appearance and affinity for the bizarre of like a Peter Lorre and a Gomez Adams, and you mix them up with the no-nonsense attitude of the 70s television show police detective Barney Miller, then you got an idea of what Gomez is all about. He tries to look after his team, tries to get the job done. He does not. He is now a repulsion against evil in all of its forms. But at the same time, you may meet another character, hopefully still now part of a team, guest character, Sharky. Very fond of Sharky. And I hope we see a lot of Sharky in this season.
Oh, that's right. I completely forgot about Sharky. So there is a unofficial fifth character to this team, and that is Sharky the Mimic. So as of last episode, they found the Mimic, fought it, befriended it, and all they know is Sharky might be joining the force, maybe as a chef, maybe as an undercover agent. I don't know, but one thing I do is I try to bring in different people to play Sharky. So far, we've had 2 guests play Sharky, because why not? It's a Mimic. It can be anything. And it also is one less thing I need to do, because it's kind of an NPC. It's not really a PC, but it's fun. And Sharky,
I'd like you to bring in someone who's less fond of eating basil, if that's possible.
Well, unfortunately, Sharky loves Basil's feathers and just wants to gobble you up. Because, I don't know, Sharky just has something about Basil's feathers and Basil. But he's your best friend, or they're your best friend. We don't even know what Sharky is. Sharky is an it. It just is. But right now, Sharky is, well, you don't know where Sharky is. So with that, let me give you a quick rundown to all those people who are new what happened in Chapter 1, Book 1, Devil at the Dreaming Palace. We started off with just some regular on duty, going around, checking out the beat, breaking up fights, making sure everyone gets along. And they discovered a couple of missing people. And from there, they went to a monastery that was being built, and they successfully negotiated a hostage situation. But then they found out there was yet more people missing. So with all these people missing, they decided to investigate this. And they had to sneak into a party that was a who's who of clientele, nefarious clientele. Anyone who's into crime was at this party. But RPCs were merely level 2, so they could do nothing except take notes and try to fit in and learn a little bit about where these people might have gone. And sure enough, they did. They found they were checked in to this hotel called the Dreaming Palace. They investigated the Dreaming Palace, and this was a hotel of horrors. Every single trap, diabolical torture device, this thing was unbelievable. Even for Pathfinder, I have to say, they went A+ hard R on the horror for this one. Just when you thought it couldn't get any more horrific, they went there. It was pretty grim. So they found this house of horrors. They had like trap doors that led into you got your choice. You either went into a spiked pit and died horribly impaled on spikes, or you could have fallen into an ochre jelly and, get dissolved to death pretty quickly. So they managed to track down these cases, put 2 and 2 together. They arrested, they did a pretty good job. They arrested the associate Roslo and then found the main proprietor, Hendred Pratchett, and he accidentally got hoisted on his own petard as he fell into his own pit and got dissolved by his own ochre jelly. And that was the last we saw of him. And now he's dead. So they successfully closed the case. And that was yesterday. That was just 3 days on the job of figuring this all out.
Now, keep in mind, Hendred Pratchett is dead, but his fashion sense lives on, as I pretty much absorbed almost all of his gear.
In a weird irony twist of fate, somehow Pratchett was the reverse Basil. They were the anti-Basil. If there was a mirror universe Basil, it would have been Pratchett, because he was an investigator who dabbled in magic, who uses a sword cane and wears a suit of leather armor. Basil literally got every single piece of loot from that guy is now adorned on Basil. I must
pretty
say.
much, yeah.
All except the ring.
Except the ring.
Dougie got the ring that he now none of his armor shows up.
Yeah, the ring is very cool. It's a ring that allows you to disguise armor and weapons, and until you draw them, no one can see them. So you can be carrying full plate, decked in armor, and people just see you like in regular clothes, and that's it. Which is how they were able to successfully walk around town and successfully kidnap and torture people to death, because no one knew that they were carrying all this accoutrements. But that is where we last left off with Season 1. For Season 2, we begin with the following. Following the arrest of the serial killer Hendrik Pratchett, well, he wasn't arrested, he was killed, and his associate Roslo, the agents discovered that Roslo's old associates, members of a small thieves guild called the Copper Hand, are planning a bank robbery. The theft is set to coincide with the Radiant Parade, one of the most anticipated events of the Radiant Festival, and one that will no doubt pose massive complications. The most likely bank targets are within the Coins District, most likely. But the Copper Hand itself is supposedly based in the Foreign Quarter. But in order for our agents to stop the heist, they'll need to hit the streets and piece together enough clues to determine which bank is slated to be hit and then thwart the robbers. Dun, dun, dun. So that's where we last left off, is that you found out through Roslo's diary entries that she used to be part of a small gang called the Copper Hand. And they clearly are going to be doing a bank heist somewhere in Absalom. And Absalom is the biggest city in the world, so this might take a little bit of doing. So, with that in mind, it's going to take a little bit of time to figure out who and where the heist may occur. So with that, we are picking up where we last left off, and that is actually in the guardhouse for the Edgewatch, where we have Dougie, Gomez, Lomang, and Basil. And this courthouse provides everything. They actually live there. They get all their squares here. During the 3 months of the festival, the guardhouse will take care of all their needs. And they have an excellent health plan where there is 100% deductible, where you have to pay for everything, as Gomez and Dougie found out last time as well, which is fun. So don't get too sick. Now, one more thing I should mention to those of you new. All of our members have something on them called a Lawbreaker badge. The Lawbreaker badge is basically the judge, jury, and sort of executioner. What it allows them to do is it allows all their spells, all their attacks, everything is automatically non-lethal. So they never do lethal damage. The only times they do lethal damage is if they're fighting aberrations or undead or things that can be destroyed. Otherwise, they're always fighting, incapacitating, and then arresting their suspects. That's the first thing. The second thing is that if they start to waver outside the side of law, the badge will let them know. Because right now, the Radiant Festival was put together so quick, and they need to make sure that law was upheld, especially recently when the Whispering Tyrant tried to take over the city, so they didn't know who they can trust. So some of the mightiest wizards of Absalom put together the Lawbreaker badge, which is kind of like the same magic they use with Wayfinders to help out law enforcement. The other thing it will do is it will do a small heal to someone once per day. It's the same as Lay on Hands, so in this case, it will heal you of 12 hit points. Oh, and one more thing I want to mention, then we'll get into it. Everyone is level 4 right now. So we begin the game with everyone at level 4 in the courthouse. You successfully managed to bring in the culprits, and with that, your Sergeant Olo comes up to you all and asks to speak to you about the next steps in this lead you brought them.
Hi, Sergeant.
Oh,
How you doing?
Oh, hey, Dougie. Hey, how you doing? So you four, that's Red Squad. Quite an impression you've made here. You've been in the paper every day. You solved the big case. Everyone here knows your name, and it's only day 4 on the job. Next thing you know, you're going to be saving the Primarch. Oh, you fellas. I'm so proud of you. I can't believe how well you're doing. I'm not supposed to say this, but of all the squads, you have been by far the best one. Of the newbies, that is. Of course, we have some higher level detectives, and they're doing an excellent job. They have to find out where that digger went, the excavator. They have no leads right now. Who can steal a 50-ton building in the middle of broad daylight out of thin air? Who knows?
Copperfield.
Yes, that was weird. That was weird, I tell you. Well, anyhow, this is what we're going to do. Absalom's a really big city. So if anyone deserves a rest, it's you fellas. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some of my best men on it, run down a couple leads, talk to some of our undercover agents, and then I'll come back to you in a couple of days with some leads to track down. So why don't you just walk your beats for the next couple of days, rest up, buy some, new equipment, and who knows? You probably earned a pretty penny that last assignment. So why don't you spend a little bit of that gold and get yourself something nice? But why don't you take it easy? You deserve it. After all, you probably had the roughest start I've ever seen for new agents on the job.
Well, thanks,
It's
Sergeant.
been difficult, but we've been very well trained.
And service is its own reward. So
That's right.
the gold is nice, but we serve at the pleasure of our sergeant.
Oh, well, we got some time. The Radiant Festival Parade isn't for 10 days, so we have over a week to take care of this. So as long as we track this down and find out leads and figure out which bank they're going to hit within the next 10 days, we should be fine.
So backing up, the 2 zones, the 2 districts where the Copper Hand operates and their location are 2 different zones. Is that correct?
Well, supposedly the Copper Hand, they're kind of a minor organization. They're supposedly based in the Foreign Quarter. But if anyone's going to hit a bank, you're going to go to Coins, because that's where all the best and most prestigious banks are. I mean, it is the Coins District after all. And then he kind of looks around a little bit and he says, and everybody knows the law enforcement on the Coin side, they're not exactly the best.
Well, we'll be happy to cooperate with them if they need help on any investigation, or likewise, we'll be happy to ask them for help for ours.
Yeah, I have a feeling that you're going to pretty much lead this investigation, because he says, the token guard, I mean the Coins District Guard, and he seems kind of embarrassed by calling them the token guard. They don't exactly inspire most people. They seem to be more interested in taking bribes and listening to those with the biggest wallets than actually fighting crime, if you know what I mean.
Oh no, that sounds awful. Especially
Yeah.
since they're supposed to be police.
Yeah, well, that's how things run in the Coins District.
So we have 10 days. We're not actually doing this investigation to find where the bank heist is going to be. Is that roughly...
No, what we're going to do is that I'm going to put my best men on it. Sniff around, go shake down some people, go talk to some rats, see what I can figure out. I'll get back to you in a couple of days.
CIs, maybe?
Snitches.
Yeah,
Some confidential
some
informants?
snitches. That's right. We're going to be talking to some snitches and find out who might be targeted. So come back to me in a few days. In the meantime, just relax. I figured if anyone deserves a break, it's you fellas. Plus, you don't have the same connections that some of my fellas have. So they'll be able to find out where that might get hit much quicker than you. And we have 10 days, but we can't dilly-dally here. So come back to me, and then I'll have you do the follow-up.
It's all about the CIs. Well, thanks, Sergeant. Dougie salutes.
And try to not get into the paper every day. And then he sort of like hits you a little bit on the ribs, Dougie, and he seems to give you a little smile, and he walks
Wow.
away.
He found one of Dougie's ribs. I'm impressed. Okay, so...
Well, he hit you pretty hard to get that
Yeah,
rib.
he must have. Must have had to. All right, Dougie will salute and click his heels together, and he'll walk out. He doesn't know if anybody else is walking up, but he'll be like the first one.
Is it party time?
Time for a bender?
Yeah, it's time for a bender.
It's it could be party time. It could be Coors Light time.
It's
Whatever you guys
Jimmy
want.
McNulty time.
Miller
Yeah.
time.
It's happy hour somewhere.
Exactly. Noon somewhere.
We have some money we need to spend, right?
You have tons of money.
Okay, so the thing we don't have is a rune of striking. And Dougie is going to... He has enough, barely enough, to apply that to his maul. So he's going to make his +1 maul have an extra D12
Ooh.
of damage.
Oof.
So just a little upgrade. Just a little upgrade, just...
Well, not to be outdone, Lomang is jealous and he does the same thing.
Yeah, but you don't have a weapon, so you can't do that.
All right, I
He puts
shit.
he has these hand
Mr.
wraps.
Unarmed.
He's literally putting them on washcloths. He's
I am,
here's,
literally.
Here's
Yep.
my
Oh,
washcloth.
God.
I'm gonna put a +1 striking rune on
Plus
my.
one washcloth of doom.
That's right.
It's more of an ace bandage, actually.
Don't snap me in the butt when I walk by with that.
Maybe it's actually more of a loincloth.
Oh, God.
Whatever it is, it's magic, so it's all
Yeah,
matters.
well.
That's what they say about his loincloth. It's magic.
Yeah,
So I have a suggestion. I have a suggestion for Lomang.
yeah.
The old comic books character immortalized by Billy Zane in the major motion picture, the Phantom.
The Phantom?
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, his iconic
Wow.
device was he had his Phantom ring that when he punched the villain, it would leave them with the mark of the Phantom on them.
Oh,
like that.
wow.
Like a brass knuckle.
I
You
like
should
it.
absolutely like my suggestion. You being a monk, get that rune put on a ring and just beat the hell out of the villains. And just
I
mark
like
them.
it.
It's like a little crane.
Yeah, like a
So
little
you-
crane.
Yeah, it's like you've been craned.
It's a signet ring, and you are the wax.
I like it.
All right. So, other thing I should mention is you're an Absalom. So, and we mentioned this in the last book, you can get anything. I mean, until we start getting to like the
Yeah.
super highest levels, you just find it. You literally go down to the store to Runes Are Us.
That's
and
even
you can
magic items, right?
These are so easy to get.
Because I already
These
got
are-
my eye on something.
These are
so-
nothing. These are nothing. Yeah. And on top of that, there is a dispensary, and you can get anything even here. So finding magic items, even uncommon magic items, is not too hard in Absalom. So Dougie gets his striking rune. Well, he'll do his 2d12 points of damage. Lomang gets his striking rune, and he'll do his 2d6
I know. It's like
points of
really
damage.
embarrassing.
It's embarrassing.
But
Well,
I hit more often, so
Yeah, you have to hit to actually do damage. So
Right.
it does does even out a little bit. We also had a little bit of money left over. I think we kicked in each 15 gold to buy some. We have, I think, what kind of we got some scrolls. Okay, we got some upgraded scrolls.
Yes, you wanted to get some new scrolls because the healing in this party is intensive. Gomez is literally the party healer, and then some, it looks like.
Yeah, and a lot of our feats are medical related between combat, so
yeah, it's a good split. Like I'm the immediate in combat magical emergency first aid, and then you guys are physicians that do the mechanical healing after the fact.
I thought you got like an upgrade, like a spell or something that does a lot of an item or something that does like good damage.
Well, his heal when it goes to level 2 does 2d8 plus 16 when he heals one person. So, and every 2 levels that continues. So it'll go 3d8 plus 24 and so forth. So his heals are very powerful, especially for individuals.
I have, all of my I'm not just a healer. I'm spell utility. I'm the Swiss Army knife. I got lots of different spells that do lots of different things, and damage is amongst them.
And then Basil literally just takes everything. I was saying before, some people have uncommon items. Some people have rare items. But Basil made off like a bandit and got the unique item. The one that actually drew everyone's breath in. They're like, oh, because unique is so rare in
level
Pathfinder.
4 character with a unique weapon.
He's the only person
in the
world.
We got a leader for the party, I think,
that has this weapon, which just happened to be a +1 striking
sword cane is the word you're looking for.
Sword cane, sword, and
it's like a double one.
Yeah, why don't you tell everyone what it does? I don't want to give it.
Well, it has +1 and striking. It is the exquisite sword cane, which means it's actually a paired weapon, and the sheath can also be used as a weapon. And the sheath, as long as you use them both together, the sheath also has the same runes. So it's also a +1 striking weapon. So you can either attack with just the sword, or you can use the sword and the cane, and still be reasonably effective with both. The other thing is, it has a poison reservoir in the handle that can hold 3 charges of poison. And since our buddy Hendred Pratchett had 3 doses of poison on him, I pretty much going to dump those 3 doses of poison into the sword cane and try that out. So, in fact, continuing the theme, I also inherited his armor, which is just conventional armor, but it's styled armor that looks like an elegant trench coat jacket thing, rather than bulky armor. And so I pretty much, and I inherited his spell book, which at some point we'll have to get into because I'm going to try to learn some of his spells. So.
And don't forget about his top hat. Did you get that as well?
We're still negotiating about the top hat.
Oh, okay.
The top hat? I don't remember the top hat. Is that just part of the leather armor?
Oh, we're just discussing if he would look more dapper, and maybe a top hat, maybe
I go for a monocle, and then I could go with the full Mr. Peanut treatment. I don't know.
That's right. There you go. Who knows? Maybe a beret. So, we're just fooling around.
The
with
one major purchase, Basil laments his lack of spell slots, since he's only a half of a wizard. So he's going to pay a visit to Bedstaff and Beyond and pick up a fire staff, which will let him cast Produce Flame as a cantrip and Burning Hands as a level 1 spell.
That's good.
The Burning Hands in particular, because we don't really have a lot of area damage in the party.
You're going for the strongest Avenger, is what you're trying to be.
So that's going to be a big chunk of Basil's remaining money. But that's
and the
all
next
right.
thing about that is the cantrips are level 2, because cantrips are based off your level, even if your spells are lower. It's actually one of the nice things.
So that gives me another ranged damage option, a different damage type. So that's kind of nice.
Everyone's turning. Well, we have Gomez who's a Swiss Army knife of healing. We have Basil, who's literally a Swiss Army knife. And we have Lomang and Dougie, who punch things real good. That's what we do.
That's right, brutes.
We slice,
The
curse,
muffle.
and bludgeon things.
Yes.
And then I know Gomez wants to go crazy because Gomez walks around. I imagine Gomez has like a trench coat and he just opens it up. And inside is just like
Squeak!
scrolls, wands, feather tokens, potions. He's just like covered head to toe in accoutrements.
Yeah, I won't say I do not want to analogize to Inspector Gadget, but like maybe our man Flint, where he has like the lighter that has 27,000 different functions. You know, it's like he's got a little bit of just a touch of the James Bond gadget, like little solution for little things, something in his pocket for it. Yeah.
So I know you want to get some scrolls. And do you want to give out the other things, or do you just want them to be a surprise to the audience of what else you're going to buy?
Oh, it's definitely going to be a surprise. I'll say one word: feather tokens. I'll say that.
There we go. And there's a lot of them. So when he throws a boat out in the middle of combat, you'll be like, oh, where'd that come from? Feather token. Chicken, where'd that come from? Feather token. Bush, where'd that come from? Feather token. You name it, there's a feather token for it. In fact, I might have to make a new shop, Feather Tokens Are Us, and just invent new ones, just so Gomez can walk around with them.
We have a source of feathers in the party, so that.
Oh my
there's no problem with
God!
that.
I can smell.
I don't like where this
crossover.
I do not like where this is going.
Basil's Feather Tokens. They're not just tokens. They're Basil Feather Tokens.
I want a cut of the profits.
If you want the best, you gotta come to Basil's. All right. Well, you're all souped up. You're all ready to go. Is there anything you want to do over your next couple of days of rest and relaxation? I think Basil wants to try to learn some spells.
Yeah, though, because I don't have a lot of gold and because some of the spells aren't that good, I'm not going to try all of them at this point.
Okay.
Specifically, there were 3 spells that I was going to go for on the first pass. I was going to go for Ray of Enfeeblement. Actually, I guess technically 4. Ray of Enfeeblement, Chill Touch, Daze, and Light. So it's one level 1 and 3 cantrips.
So which one do you want to start off first? And you all have hero points, so I imagine you're going to make these
Let's
all.
do the level 1. Let's start with Ray of Enfeeblement. Do I roll these or do you? These secret?
You do. It's all you, baby. It's not secret.
All right, so Ray
you
of
roll it.
Enfeeblement. Here we go.
He sits down. He looks at this book. Can he understand what the heck is being in there?
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh,
26.
wow.
In fact, that's
Holy moly.
that's a critical success.
Critical success. You spend 1 gold piece.
Nice.
All right, next.
Is that half of what he needs?
Yeah,
to-
instead
wow.
of 2, it's 1.
That's pretty cool.
Next up is Chill Touch. The thinking there is it does a lower damage die. It does D4s instead of D6s, but it also applies, like I want to say slow, like it applies a status. It applies like slowed or something.
Cool.
That is going to be a
17.
success, but just a regular one.
Yes. A merely 2 gold success. So he goes out, he gets the materials. He's like, all right, he's copying down these spells. Pratchett's handwriting isn't too bad. So far, so good.
Next
What's
is
up
is Days.
Days.
It
That's a good
depends.
one.
Basically, it depends on whether you succeed or critically succeed, but it can apply 2 or 3 different statuses like blind and dazed. So that one
That's a
could.
good spell.
Yep.
Here we go. Tries to understand.
Nat
the
20.
chicken. Oh!
Put it in the books.
Look at
Nice.
another critical success.
And lastly, good old Light, which I somehow did not get around to taking.
Oh, yeah, you need that.
Yeah, this is the one that he'll miss. Here we go.
Dougie, always positive.
Oh yeah, here it
Here
goes.
we go. That's
Nope.
not a miss.
That's
Oh,
30.
that's
Another
a
critical
crit!
So 3
Oh
of
my
my new critical
God.
successes.
You save 3 gold on that. That's pretty
Yeah,
good.
so all told, I spent 5 gold instead of 8.
Man, where was that when you're doing the 10th level spells, which cost 7,000 gold pieces? That's actually your rolls were so good you could have learned up to 7th level spells.
Now, just as an observation, the book still has a couple others. The book still has like Admonishing Ray, which is like non-lethal damage, True Strike, which gives you like the halfling luck ability, but only for one attack roll. So for a level 1 spell, if it was a cantrip, maybe, but if it's a level 1 spell, I'm not sure how useful that is. And then like Mage Hand, Prestidigitation. So I mean, I may come back later and learn a few more, but I'm a little low on money, and those spells aren't going to be as useful. So
Mage Hand might be.
Yeah,
useful.
I mean that's the
like
thing. They may
Mage
come
Hand.
into useful eventually. So at some point I'll learn them, but it's not urgent right now.
How long does it take you to roll one of these? Is it something you can do during a dungeon?
It's 1 hour per level.
Okay. Cantrip is maybe.
And a cantrip counts as a level 1 spell for that. So 1 hour. It's 1 hour to learn a spell.
That's not egregious given our heal times.
And I think for now it has to be during downtime. I think during when you get to if you get to legendary in Arcana, either master or legendary in Arcana, you can actually do it during combat downtime. But I think for now it has to be over a long rest.
Oh, I see.
So you spend half a day learning those spells. It's only 4 hours, so that's done. Is there anything else anyone wants to do while they are, relaxing and spending a couple of days not fighting things and nearly dying?
During some part of this, people remember from in the end of last season, I went on a big eating restaurant tour, goblin and trapper style with Sharky, and so some of that is going to be happening during this.
In fact, let's go on your regular route, and here we are. So a day or two goes by, you're walking your route, learning the people, and sure enough, there they are, your favorite goblins, Everything Fried and Pelmo's Pickle Hut. Grunka and Pelmo, they're your buddies, and they actually have all your favorites ready for you because they know that you've done such a good job in helping them settle their differences and have Sharky come by, and you had all those things being fried you wanted to try out, so they got everything ready for you to go. So this is where you normally have been spending your lunches.
The stereotype of the cop at the donut shop. This is my donut shop, and it's not donuts. It's goblin fare, but it is fried. It is fried like a donut, but
And it's a pickle.
Yes, I invite people to come on to the Patreon, come on to the Discord, and start suggesting things that become Gomez's usual when he drops by his two goblin food purveyors.
I know what Dougie's going to do.
What's Dougie going to do?
Dougie is not going to listen to the sergeant precisely. Not precisely. He's going to walk around the coins district. He's not going to interact with anybody. He's just just like observe, eavesdrop, see what if he picks up any general vibe, because this is over a multi-day thing. He's just going to walk the same route every day, just saunter. Same times of day. He's just going to see if he picks up anything different. He's going to case the joint in this own way.
You're abandoning your post.
What?
Oh,
what do you mean
Lordy.
abandoning my post? We have 10 days off. I'm going to work.
Well, it's not days off. You still have to
you're walking the beat.
You're walking the beat. You're walking the beat.
I
But
thought
you
we
could
had
do it
10
on your
days
off
off.
time. Well, 10 days
okay.
off means you're walking the beat. But you can do that on
forget-
your off time. You could definitely do that on your off time.
Okay, I'll do that in my off time.
Yeah,
I thought we
yeah.
had 10 days off. I'm like, geez, what's this?
No.
What's this?
Lordy.
Crime never sleeps.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Okay.
And you're only on the job for 3 months, so it's like his version of you have time off is that you don't have to investigate every single missing person's lost animals at the zoo will accidentally eat you like you did 2 days ago.
Wow. Yeah. Okay, that makes a little bit more sense. Okay. I thought that we had 10 days off. Okay.
No, sorry about that. So while you're at the pickle stand, something happens. Pushing through the crowd is a Tengu who is dressed to the nines. Has a big floppish hat on, big feather coming out of the top. Obviously wants to make people notice him. And there's a striking resemblance between Basil and this Tengu. You hear halfway across the court, Basil! Basil, is that you? What are you wearing?
Gomez looks up from his half-eaten fried rat in interest.
Good heavens! I assume I recognize this person.
It's Linus,
Oh,
your younger brother.
okay. I thought you were talking adult. I didn't realize he was a young Tengu.
Well, he's. You never told me how young he was. I presumed he was like a young adult, like 18.
Yeah,
19 or
like
something.
Dick Grayson,
Okay.
Robin level or something. I don't know.
Okay.
But hi Linus. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm gambling away our parents' fortune.
I really hope you're kidding about that.
Oh, more or less. But what the heck are you? Why are you dressed like a police? What is going on here? Why do you look like you're a member of the guard? Who are these other people? Are you going to a costume party? Can I come? I really want to go to a fun costume party. That sounds like a great time.
Well, look, Linus, I'm gonna need some help with this a little bit. I'm gonna need you to help me out, brother to brother here. I decided to take a break from law school, and I'm actually joined the Agents of Edgewatch. So I am a cop, and I am a law officer, and these are my partners. These are the members of my team. That's Dougie, Lomang, and Gomez. Guys, this is my brother. This is my brother Linus.
Gomez punctuates the awkwardness by slurping up the rat tail of his fried rat.
Oh, God, yeah, that smooths it over. Dougie will click his heels and salute as well.
Basil, is this gentleman bothering you?
They're very good. They're very good companions, and we've done a lot of good for the city, and I'm really enjoying it. But I need your help. I need you to kind of keep this under your hat for a little bit.
You got me going there. That's a good one. I actually thought that you were actually joined the Edgewatch. Where's the party at? I've been going to lots of great parties this festival. I love it here. Going to gamble, parties.
At this point, I actually pull out the Lawbreaker badge, and I'm going to say, perhaps you better not be telling me all this stuff. You are still a young man.
Oh, look at that! That looks real. He plunks it out of your hand. He's like looking at it. He goes, "Wow, where'd you get this? This actually looks like a real badge. You must have spent a fortune for this costume." And all of you. And he looks at Lomang. He
Sir,
goes,
please do not touch the equipment. That is an offense.
"Oh, look at this! This guy's in character. I love it. And look at that one over there. Wow, he's a little rotund to fit into that uniform. You must have had that one specially made for that fella."
Sir, this is standard issue cadet uniform for the Edgewatch. Just be careful how you treat that badge. That's important stuff.
Gomez quietly goes over to the newsstand, gets the issue of the paper that has like all of our exploits over the last 3 days scattered all over the headlines and all over with artist renderings and in detail, and then casually walks up to him, nudges him, and hands him the paper.
Oh, thanks. Actually, yeah. At this point, I will show him the paper and say this was us. This is something we were involved in. One of our first cases.
Okay. Yeah, well, I'm blowing the money the old-fashioned way. I'm just gambling it away and drinking it away. You are getting fake papers made up? You're spending all this money on these costumes? This must be some party.
Well, look, if you don't want to believe me, I guess that's up to you. But either way, it would help me out if you don't mention this to Mom and Dad just yet.
Are you really being serious? You joined it. Wait,
I'm really.
they're going to kill you. Dad's going to kill you if you actually dropped out of law school. You know that, right?
That's what I'm trying to figure out. So I need a little more time to figure that out, is what I'm saying.
And then Mom, She's gonna kill you after Dad kills you.
They're probably going to draw lots to see who kills me first. You're probably not wrong about that.
Okay, I interject, and he's like, okay, joke's over, and I pull up all of my persuasion and diplomacy, and I say, yes. We had a costume party. We were at a costume party, and I dropped the name of that big party organization with the guy who was like the head of the social life. That what was his name again?
Hoff?
Yeah, not the guy from the murder hotel. The other guy was it Hoff?
German Hoff.
German Hoff.
Yes. So he had a big fancy schmancy cocktail party. A lot of people from the biggest law firms were there. It was probably a good networking opportunity, and that's why all the get-ups. And then I whisper to my comrade over here, Basil. It's like, if he believes this is fake and you don't want his family to know,
if a bird is physically capable of turning pale, Basil turns pale right about now.
Some of his feathers go from black to white. Linus looks around. He doesn't know what to believe. He has Lomang staring him down. He has Dougie looking at him.
Dougie's confused. He doesn't understand.
And upset.
He doesn't understand the concept of bluffing this guy.
Gomez is feeding him what he wants to hear, and then he sees Basil. Looks like he just saw a ghost. He goes, "All right. I don't know what's going on here, but I just warn you. I think Mom and Sis are going to be hanging out in the festival for the next couple of days. So you might want to be careful. You might not want to run into them. And if Dad sees you, oh boy. Because, they're going to set up some shops nearby. I think Dad's going to set up a satellite store because they've been making so much money on this festival that he's been trying to rope me in to help him sell some of the tobacco down here.
I figured he'd work the festival, but I guess I didn't think he'd come down himself. He usually likes to stay at the main shop. That's a little surprising.
Well, I hear that he's not doing so well because everyone's down here. So he figured for 3 months he'd check it out. So if you're really part of the Edgewatch, you might want to get a disguise or something, because all I'm saying is if they catch you and this isn't a disguise party, oh boy. I mean, they already don't like me, but I'm going to quickly go from the black sheep to the second least liked black sheep in the
I'm
family.
Sure they don't not like you. They just wish you would, make better choices.
All right. They're just disappointed in me. Because I'm not like you, the law professor, and I'm not like our big sis, who is so good with the business. And of course, Mom is famous and Dad is famous. So all I'm good for doing is spending everybody's money.
I quietly mention to Lomang, I don't think I like him, and then I go off and I get myself another rat.
Ha! Exactly.
Well, if you wanna follow us around a little bit and see the glamorous police life in action, we've got a couple quiet days up ahead, so you could maybe join me on patrol a little bit.
He thinks about it for a second. He goes, why not? Maybe we can use that badge and get into some of the high clientele places. Some of the places that you need a stamp to get into. I don't have enough.
That badge
I don't have enough credentials to get into those, but I'm sure you guys can squeeze me in. Right?
Aside from the fact that you probably shouldn't be doing that, the badge has some magic on it that would probably get me in trouble if we used it incorrectly.
Yeah. Everything is on the up and up. Like, these gambling activities of yours are strictly legal, yes, sir? Is that correct?
Oh, yeah. It's not the gambling that's a problem. It's that I'm spending my parents' money that's the problem.
All right. Well, as long as you're doing it in a legal and non-disorderly way.
Oh, yeah. You don't want to go to those illegal gambling dens anyhow. They never pay out.
Yeah, we could tell you. I could tell you all the stories of what we've done so far. It's actually pretty impressive. We've actually been. We've had to fight some undead. I don't know if you heard about the menagerie, the animals going crazy at the menagerie, but that was us. I mean, we've
What?
we've been pretty busy. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
That's not you.
It is us.
There was a cockatrice there.
Yes.
There was like this giant slug monster. Heard all the penguins were eating.
There was a penguin who survived, and Dougie actually became pretty good friends with it.
Really? Rumor is that cousin Jimmy, he was a penguin on the mother's side, Who knows? It could have been one of our distant relatives that was eaten.
Well, you never know, but yeah, if you're curious about what we do, you're welcome to follow us on patrol for a little bit. Obviously, if anything serious happens, you might want to get back to a safe distance. But while we're just kind of walking, if you want to walk and talk and catch up and stuff, we can certainly do that.
Sure. All right, let's walk around a little. Let's walk around, and you start doing your patrol, and he follows you along, and
at
sure
a
enough,
point when he's kind of at a distance, I'm going to say, look, guys, I kind of want to try to steer him onto a little bit of a better path. So maybe hanging out with us for the day might kind of, get him a little inspired to do something more useful with his life. I hope you'll indulge me a little bit.
Absolutely. I mean, that's what we're here for. That's job number one.
So he is very foppish. He has a brilliant blue coat, lots of buttons, a big red sash. He's got a large scimitar, which he probably uses more as an ornament than actually fights with. And as I said, a large floppy hat with big red feathers coming out. And as he's walking around, he looks at Lomang. He goes, "So they're big stuff. What's your story? I bet no one causes any trouble with you around, huh?"
Yes, sir. I don't really have a story. We're actually walking our beat and on duty now. So if you don't really have any other further business, you should move along.
Oh,
wow.
All right. Wow. All right. And he goes over to you. He goes, "What about you, big stuff?" He's talking to Dougie. He goes, You look like you're a lot of fun. I bet we can go to the pub later and pound a few. What do you say?
Oh, I don't drink. And I go to the pubs just to make sure people are behaved and orderly. But yes, that's a good idea. We should do that.
Ha!
Linus looks over to Basil and goes, "Wow, your friends are about as much fun as you are." "Well, what about you?" He looks over at Gomez. He goes, "Well, I at least like the things you're eating. I also like fried rat."
Gomez comes back and is like, "Oh, you're still here? Sure, here." I hand him one of my 2 fried rats.
He goes, "Oh, thank you very much. Well, at least one of you isn't a spoil sport." And he slurps down the rat. And he's like, delicious. I need to try out this. What's this? Everything fried.
Oh, well, maybe you're not so bad. Yeah, they could do everything fried. And I start talking about the things that we had on our food adventure.
Oh, so you and Linus are hitting it off. Linus is desperately trying to find anything to connect with you guys. And Basil knows this. This guy, although he's a bit of a flibbity-jibbit, he is very good at talking to people. He's the charismatic one in the family. If only he had other abilities to go with the charisma.
Yep, that sounds like my brother, all right.
So, all right, you guys continue walking the beat. Linus keeps trying to get Dougie to do anything fun. He's up to Dougie. He goes, so let me ask you, Dougie, is it? You don't drink. You don't seem to do anything illicit. What do you do for fun?
You don't drink.
I just
you
told
don't
you.
smoke. What do you do?
Yeah, well, I just told you. I keep people out of trouble, make sure everybody is upholding the law, and I like making everybody else, just safe. Doesn't that sound fun to you?
It's very commendable. I break the awkward silence. It's very commendable.
Well, what did you do before you were in law enforcement? Like when you were a kid, what did you
I
used
know
to
what
do?
you're talking about.
Yeah.
Oh, I also go.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so I still in my off time. I go to the library and read. There's a whole bunch of manuals. Let me tell you, I've got a whole bunch of other books. Have you read The Joy to Clean Living?
No, that sounds terrible.
Oh, no. The Joy to Clean Living has been, when that came out, that changed everything. I mean, before that was just the complete daily chores. And, it really didn't hit, like the morals. It was more like the Trainee's Guide to Moral Certainty. where they basically it was the same author. So Joy to Clean Living was just like set me on the straight path. I mean that was basically if everybody could read that, I'd be out of the job. There'd be no problems here with that Absalom. But it's not a cheap book. But let me tell you, we should hang out. Like this book, you should just read it, and we ought to have our own little book club. We could talk about it, and if you have any questions, I've read them all. There's also this Setting an Example. Have you read that one?
No.
Oh, you would love that one. Oh my gosh, that has basically like your checklist for walking a proper life, like just rules for just real enriching life. That's that one. That was a good one too. But no, we should have a book club. At least just borrow one of them and tell me what you think. Or do you have a library card? I mean, Absalom. I mean, you talk about libraries. This might be the place. That might be where we should hang out.
Well, I'm not so much into that sort of stuff, but I actually heard, and he's looking around. He's like, I heard there's like a book signing going on in a day or two. There's some book signing, something, step-by-step guide to solving mysteries or something.
Oh yeah, that's from my crime section. Have you read that one?
No, I heard about it. Some guy, Griffin Clue was his name. He's having a book signing in a couple days. Maybe you'd be interested in meeting him.
Definitely. Oh my gosh, we have so much to talk about. Oh my god.
I'm a little bit more into the adventure novels. Mysteries are okay. That might be up my alley. Yeah, maybe we could do that. Maybe we can go together. We can check out this Griffin Clue because signed copies are always worth more at the pawn shop. So
well, I mean that's basically getting a signature. That's basically a chance to ask the author, like where do you get all your great ideas, and like what do you base your methodology on? I mean, obviously, Index of Criminal Motives, just that's where everybody goes to. But oh yeah, step-by-step guide. Oh yeah, that's a good one. When is that?
That's I don't know. We should go over there. Like in a few
a
days.
Book about investigative techniques. I might actually want to come along with that one. That sounds interesting.
Oh yeah, I've got. If any of you want, I've got also the Interrogator's Search for Truth. That's a good one. It's a little. I don't know. It's a little risque, but it covers a lot of stuff. Like obviously, when I need information, that's how I get information out of people. I've memorized practically all of it.
Yeah, I read that one. It has a lot of good pointers. Some of his basic theory is a little sketchy, but there's a lot of good, valuable stuff in there.
Well, yeah. Why don't we check that out? Actually, I think a lot of authors are here because the festival. I believe there's like a whole pavilion down over there on the pier, and there's a ton of authors over there. I bet you some of these interesting books that you like, I'm sure you'll be able to find some of them. I know I was going to check it out because some of the adventure novels that I like, I know some of the authors are going to be there, and they're going to be putting out a lot of their new works at the festival. So yeah. Why don't we check that out, Dougie?
Yeah.
It gives you a big pat on the back. It's like you're okay, Dougie.
Yeah, he's like Dougie pulls out like one of his books. He's like, wow, a signature on one of my books is really going to increase the value. And you look at it, and it's a really worn, dog-eared, the cover's missing, the spine is broken, it's practically smooth on all the corners. It's just like it's been read 100 times. And he's like, oh, this will help me increase the value of my book. This is a great idea.
All right, well, yeah, and if you got any extra books that you don't want, let me know, because I'm always interested in reading. Maybe you can show me the light. Maybe I'll learn to appreciate these more, especially if you have first editions. Anything really rare, the rarer the better. Because I imagine those are the best books, the rare books, the ones that are worth a lot of money. I imagine those are the best ones.
Well, I don't know. I always get I only get used books because they're a lot cheaper. So
Oh, I don't know. You were telling me about that other one. That real expensive one was a Joy of Clean Linen. That one sounded really hard to get and real expensive. You just said it was. Maybe you should show me that one.
I don't believe it was very. I didn't know it was that rare. I just
you just said it was. Maybe you misspoke, but yeah. Well, why don't you go back and check them out? I'm be very, very interested in checking out those books.
Sense motive.
He wants to read them.
Yeah,
Dougie,
right.
Dougie.
That
totally
seems
believes it.
unlikely.
Yeah,
and I'm related. He's family. That seems unlikely.
This sounds like a good idea. No, Dougie once he's going to send him on the path of the straight and narrow.
The clean living.
Yep, this will be good.
He comes over to Lo Mang, and he's like, "What about you? You must get into a lot of fun places. Look at you. I imagine the adventures you've had. You're probably an adventure novel yourself. Look at you."
Yeah, he's like, yeah, well, you know what? I'm actually on duty now, so I can't really talk to you, sir. So unless you have something on official business, I'm going to keep going on my rounds. And he walks away.
Aww.
Yeah, he doesn't like this
Aren't
guy.
I he comes over to Basil. Aren't I like a deputy? Aren't I like a honorary Edgewood officer? Which means that we'd be on the clock together. And he'd have to talk to me. Isn't that how that works, big bro?
Well, you gotta cut him some slack. We've had a rough couple days, and he takes the work very seriously. I mean, you can't fault him for that. So
Gomez is shaking his head and catching up to Lo Mang.
Yeah, he's taking way too much of our time. We got work to do. So.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we don't want to lose our rounds here.
All right, he's just hanging out with Basil, catching up with him. He still can't believe that he dropped out. In fact, he just, you keep hearing off in the distance is like, Dad's gonna kill you. You just keep hearing that over and over again. Only interspersed with, Mom's gonna kill you. And very, very rarely will you actually hear, Big Sis is gonna kill you. Now, that one's not as common.
Right,
but
I would hope not.
I mean, Basil is an adult, right? So,
yeah,
you
but
know,
it's still,
you do want to have some inheritance, I guess.
Well, I mean, Basil has, you don't know him that well. You've only been together for 4 or 5 days now. So you don't know that much about Basil. But obviously, he's a bit of a big shot, it looks like. Who knew? Maybe. Maybe not.
He is a big shot.
Yeah, who knew?
Yeah, I will regale him with our tales and show off my new sword cane and tell him. And since I picked up my wizarding again since last time I saw him, I'll show off my cantrips or whatever. Whee!
Cool. He's really impressed. So you go around, you finish your rounds, and he's like, "Well, I was gonna be staying at this place. It's called like the Dreaming Hotel or something, but it looked like there was a big crime there, so I didn't manage to check in. But yeah, I'm staying at another place. It's like the Tipsy Tengu or something. I don't know. I just found it, but looks fine. Looks fine. So if you want to find me, I'm gonna be staying over there because, well, you know, Mom and Dad didn't really like when I come in drunk. You know that. So
yeah,
anyhow,
let me know if you know where they're setting up the shop so I can be discreet.
Oh, visit them? Yeah,
or visit them if I.
Yeah, you know what? Maybe you should go out of uniform and pretend you're still in law school. And he seems real excited. He goes, I'll help you out with this. This could be our little secret. I can keep you out of trouble, and maybe, you could just help me out a little.
I do intend on telling them. It's been fairly recently since I made the decision, and I kind of wanted to make sure it was the right decision before I burned my bridges and made everything final and told the folks. So, I'm going to tell them I don't want to have it hanging over things forever, but I need a little more time.
All right, I understand. All right. Well, nice to meet you, Gomez, Dougie, and Lo Mang. And Dougie, I'll be back for them books. And we go get them books signed. Make them worth a nice pretty penny, I tell you, pretty penny.
Sounds good. Goodbye, what's his name?
That would be Linus Blackfeather.
Goodbye, Linus.
Bye. And he just sort of jaunty, like, skips away.
See the little red feather on the hat
What a
bouncing
nice
through
guy.
the crowd. He's a good kid, but he can test your patience. He's not always. He's a little bit of a free spirit. He doesn't always stick to the rules.
Well, if he wants to learn, I don't see anything wrong with that. It sounds like he's going to be a great reading companion.
I got my eye on him.
Well, we'll
I
see.
don't
I mean,
know.
we'll see. I certainly wouldn't mind him picking up some good habits, but I mean, at the same time,
Can I make a society check? Do I, for my previous life in the underworld, do I know? Does he have a reputation? Do I know him?
No, you have no idea. He's not that. He's not that type of person.
He's not a criminal outright.
Yeah, he's not a criminal. He's just.
He doesn't like owe money to every loan shark in town.
It's more that he has a knack for more like youthful trouble. I don't know that he's in serious trouble with anyone, or if he is, I haven't heard of it. But I mean, he did,
Sounds like someone I personally would like to hang out with, that's for sure.
he could maybe use some better role models, I suppose.
Chris, you'd go to the library with him?
No. Library. Where's library?
I believe the repeated
God,
repeated interest in visiting the gambling hall probably won you over.
Yes, that's for sure. Yeah, I don't think in out of character in real life, can't recall the last time I've stepped foot into a library.
All right, so you get back, and you have a couple more days. Basil is now worried, officially. A
little bit, yeah.
Little bit.
Because if he needs to get himself out of trouble, he'll probably like blab my secret just to get them mad at someone else.
Well, now he knows he's got a big bro in the police department. Lord only knows what type of trouble he's going to get himself into.
Yeah,
And Big Brother's going to have to get him out of.
yeah, that's also an angle. So he's going to get himself into something and expect me to help him. I'm like, oh boy.
I'm sure that will never,
But his
ever
family.
come up.
We'll see what happens.
So is there anything else you want to do?
No, I don't know. No.
So, is there anything else you guys want to do while you wait?
No.
You can continue on your rounds. You can continue to try new fried items. Otherwise, you realize that, wow, this is what the job is supposed to be like. It's supposed to be just walking the beat, meeting the people, not really, facing life and death every 5 minutes. It's actually quite relaxing, quite enjoyable.
All right. Well, cool.
Dougie finds out that, sure enough, there is going to be a book signing in a few days. And sure enough, Griffin Clou, his favorite author of A Step-by-Step Guide to Solving Mysteries, has a new book out, and he will be there to promote and sign his new book.
Oh, that sounds wonderful. Oh, Dougie's definitely going to that one.
But in the meantime, let's see what happens. So,
First in line, by the way.
first in line.
First in line.
So, about a week goes by, which means you don't have a lot of time left to find the culprits. But you meet up with Oslo again in the guardhouse. And Oslo's like, all right, fellas, Red Squad, fall in. Lieutenant wants to see you.
We see him.
Sure enough, there's the lieutenant, large man with a larger voice, behind the desk. Lieutenant Lavaris and Sergeant Olo stand in Lavaris' office at Edgewatch headquarters. Well, recruits, snaps Lavaris while gnawing on the end of a flaking cigar. You did good. Better than I expected. Closing down that murder hotel is one thing, but finding evidence of an upcoming bank robbery? I'm half inclined to believe that you runts might actually earn Edgewatch some of the respect it deserves. Maybe even a promotion for yourselves in the process. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Lavaris spits a tobacco-flaked wad of phlegm into a nearby spittoon, and then jerks his head towards Olo. Olo, tell these rookies what you learned. The squat sergeant clears his throat. steals a glance at the spittoon near his boot, and then steps slightly to the side. Right. Well, I followed up on my leads with some of my best agents, and we reckon it's set to take place somewhere during the Radiant Parade. So we've narrowed it down to 3 potential targets. Ovengot Money Chambers, the Penny and Sphinx Trust, or Stone Sworn Savings and Loan. I've got a bunch of files for you, so get reading and hit the streets. But start with those banks. It's got to be one of those 3. They're the only ones on the Radiant Festival's parade route. That one makes the most sense.
Good. Oh, thank you, Sergeant. Thank you, Lieutenant.
Get out of my office. I got things to do.
Goodbye.
What are you still doing here? Get over to the Coins District. Start tracking down those leads. The Radiant Festival parade's only in a few days.
Did he give us a bunch of files?
Oh, here comes the files.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes.
It's a file dump.
Yep, file dump. Here we go.
The robbery is going to happen on Bastille Day. Like in Killing Zoe.
Yeah.
So good.
I was immediately thinking of that.
Yeah. You want a spectacle? I'll give you a spectacle.
First, we live life.
So, Alo gives you, sure enough, some files. And in the files, you can see there are 6 places for you to check out. The 3 banks he mentioned, as well as 3 other places. Does someone
I absolutely do.
want to go through and explain what you see? Because it's a fair amount, and he said for you to investigate the banks first.
All right, so Gomez devours the files, and in a voiceover, he highlighting points. Ovington Money Changers. Ruthen Ovington is the owner and manager of Ovington Money Changers in the East End of the Coins. The file indicates that Ruthen's bank has recently been subjected to vandalism and harassment by unknown parties. This is the oldest bank among the 3 possible targets that has been operated by the Ovingtons for several generations. Next place, Penny and Sphinx Trust. This is the largest of the 3 possible targets and is located in the Coins District. Its manager, a halfling named Bertram Softwhistle, reported a recent break-in, although the token guard's investigation was cursory and yielded no clues. The file contains a complaint about the thoroughness of the inquiry and copies of letters to the bank's clients assuring them that no funds were lost. The bank now seeks funds to hire a private investigator who conduct a more thorough investigation than the token guard. Stonewarn Savings and Loan. Rojas Stonewarn, a wealthy former adventurer, owns and operates this bank in the Coins District. The file contains the permit for her building, which required supplemental filings due to some sophisticated magical protections. A handwritten note from Oroka expresses concern that someone may be engaging in illegal excavating near her establishment, but the token guard apparently hasn't followed up. Gilel's Tannery. This file includes a vandalism report from a tradesperson named Gilel Nallin, who is building a float for the Radiant Parade. Someone named Elzimara allegedly broke into Gilel's to vandalize the float Gilel was storing there, nearly burning down the entire building. This paperwork has the words "waste of time" written at the bottom in Lavaris's crisp handwriting. Shadraxa's cheap loans. Although the Hobgoblin Shadraxa's business isn't a bank, and thus remains unlikely to be target of the heist, Shadraxa knows so much about crime and banking in and around the Coins District that she is likely a useful resource. Shadraxa's file is as thick as an Abadaran holy text and contains as many complaints against the money lender as from her. Shadraxa is currently under investigation for running an unpermitted business in the puddles. She's made requests to several of Absalom's law enforcement agencies offering information on a criminal enterprise operating in the city in exchange for clemency and having her business permit reinstated. Last file, Smuggler's Lair. The last file is a request for help from one of the Puddle's volunteer militia members, Ziraya al-Shirati. Ziraya seeks formal aid in cracking down on a smuggling ring in the Puddles, and, as an inducement, indicates that she believes the smuggler's leader has valuable information about an upcoming heist in the coins.
So that is 6 possible leads. Olo steps over to you and says, yeah, all these are all solid leads, but I would strongly suggest you start with the banks first and then follow up with the bottom 3 leads. Those will probably be better as well, because once you talk to the banks and get their information, you could probably use the other 3 to follow up and get a little bit more details.
Sounds like a good plan.
Wait, which one did he say?
There's 3 banks, and then there's 3 others. There's the tannery,
Right.
there's the cheap
Cheap
loans,
loans and smuggler's
and then
lair.
the lair. That's right. But none of those are banks, so those aren't going to get hit. But they might be able to help
So
you in
it's
your
the first 3
investigation.
that are potential targets. Okay, so they got the first place had some vandalism, and they're being harassed by unknown parties. Second one is the big bank, and file
They had
contains
a break-in recently.
the Penny and Sphinx.
They had a recent break-in, but there was no clues.
What do we know
Wait.
about the token guard?
Oh, very interesting. You bring that up.
They're on take.
So let's do a little bit of history of the guards of Absalom. There are different guards for each district. We have the Edgewatch, which is the Precipice Quarter, aka Radiant Festival. There's the Gray Cloaks. They're in the Ascendant Court. You have the Harbor Guard. They're on the docks. And they have really cool, they actually have seahorses, as in they are horses in the sea. They ride seahorses. It's really cool. You have the Learned Guard, who are in the Wise District. You have the Lotus Guard in the Petal District. You have the Muckrakers in the Puddles. You have the Post Guard in Eastgate. You have the Sally Guard in Westgate. You have the Sleepless Suns in the Foreign Quarter. You have the Star Watch. That is the most prestigious of all of them. And they're in Absalom, and they are the headquarters of the famed Stone. You have the Thistle Guard. They're in the Ivory District. And last but not least, the Token Guard in the Coins District. The Coins District contains many of the roughest taverns in Absalom, as well as the city's largest black market. Crime in this quarter usually consists of assault, disturbing the peace, fraud, and theft. Though officers in the Coin District, known as the Token Guard, their official name is the Coins Guard, typically respond to situations only when paid under the table by concerned party, or because of a lack of response would draw unwanted attention from the Grand Council. Most locals look down on the Token Guard as lazy and crooked, but well-to-do coin citizens understand that in this corner of Absalom, money is the only real authority, even in matters of law enforcement.
Wow. So they are token force. Like that's
Yeah.
I like
They're
that.
a token guard. They are the token
Right.
guard. They are a token guard. So it would make a lot of sense. Like the thing that just leaps off the page is the Penny Sphinx and Trust. They hop up a justification
big
for
one.
the token guard to look, and then the token guard cases the joint. Like all of that investigation that they're complaining about was them casing the joint in preparation for exactly this crime.
I got from that they didn't go very deep in their investigation. It's cursory and yielded no clues. That was what.
Yeah,
the
but here's
complaints
the other
were.
part. But this is the part.
Okay.
It says, although the token guard's investigation was cursory and no clues, the file contains a complaint about the thoroughness of the inquiry and copies of letters to blank clients assuring them that no funds were lost. So what are they talking about with the thoroughness of the inquiry?
Is it
And no
lack
funds
of
were lost.
thoroughness?
Well, you know what? It could be that.
Could be either.
Actually, you're right. It could be the lack of thoroughness. But
Yeah.
I'm also, but I would like to follow up because I'm wondering if in fact the token guard looked at the place and was going to sell that information to the thieves or were like the thieves themselves.
Right. I think that is that's my guess since we're picking stuff. I'm guessing that's where the real target's going to be, but I've also there's also
I don't know. Actually, I read this over again, and I think I just read it wrong. No, I think you're right. I think they just didn't know what the hell they were doing. I'm still very suspicious of them, though. I wouldn't put it past them actually to have been behind a lot of these shenanigans.
Yeah.
And be in league with the criminals.
And as far as the Stone Sword savings and loan, there's a nearby excavation that is like
tunneling underneath.
Illegal. Yeah, so that's going to be pretty easy to follow. I think we'll be able to dismiss that one, and I think it's going to be the same.
I wonder if that has anything to do with the missing digging machine, though.
Oh, maybe. Okay.
I
like the
that,
idea
It's all
of
coming
investigating
together.
all of these, obviously.
I'd like the smuggler's lair first because it sounds like they have information.
Yeah,
I gotta tell you, I would go directly to Smuggler's Lair first.
I kind of thought
agree
that
with you.
too.
But however, the first one, the overturning money changers, that is the one with with an existing outstanding crime for us to investigate.
Well, let's follow orders and do the banks first. But I would agree that the smuggler's lair should be the first of the three other leads that we should look into.
Well, the volunteer militia in the smuggler's lair is saying they're seeking formal aid in cracking down on the smuggling ring. So they're asking for help for that.
Let's see.
Right. But that's tangential. Like the overturning money changers is two birds with one stone. We can investigate the vandalism and harassment by unknown parties in the process of checking them out as a possible target for the crime.
I'm game. Whatever. I'm just here for muscle.
All right, so honestly, like, at least as far as the banks, I don't see any problem with any order. I kind of want to go in order just because it's easier to remember.
And speaking as a hunch, I'm going to characterize it as a detective's hunch.
Yeah, what's your hunch?
My hunch is here's my
hunch. Give me your hunch.
My hunch is Gil's Tannery, because anybody who writes "waste of time" and says it in bold letters with an exclamation point, that is in fact the crux of the plot.
Oh, that's okay.
That is a red flag.
It's kind of the which one of these things is not like the others in that it's the most useless looking of the 6 entries.
That is right up there with I retire in 7 days and
just I hope nothing happens.
We just paid off the mortgage on the house, and it is all right up in there with that.
Well, that's not one of the banks, but that's a good thought. Which one of these banks do you think is going to get hit?
Penny and Sphinx Trust.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Jason, what do you think?
Out of character.
Yeah, this is all out of character
because it ties into the potentially to the digging machine.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, that's a good hunch.
Yeah, the Stone Sworn. Yeah.
I think that is going to be the one involving the token guard because that is also involved. It's integrated with NPCs and will lead to kind of other things.
I don't want anyone telling me that this is not my jurisdiction. We're taking over this case.
All right.
We're gonna end up fighting the token guard, aren't we? non-lethal damage, but we're gonna end up fighting.
That's right.
You've been listening to Roll for Combat, Agents of Edgewatch. If you have a question or comment for the show, please visit us at rollforcombat.com. You can also find us and play various games on our Discord channel at discord.rollforcombat.com.